This is the Work University Podcast, episode 49.
This is Work University, and I'm Annalisa Felix. This is where I interview people from various employment backgrounds and get the inside scoop on what their job is really like. If you're just getting into the workforce, or if you're curious about getting into something new, listen up.
Hello, today I am speaking with Claudia Rodriguez, and Claudia is a buyer out of Denver, Colorado. Hello, Claudia, welcome.
Hi, Annalisa. Thank you. Happy to be here.
So I'm interested in the term buyer. So tell me, what kind of buyer are you? And, let's get into it as far as what is your day-to-day and when you go into work, what can you expect from a buyer?
I buy food. I work for a food distribution company and I buy grocery products. I make sure that the stores that we have as customers have enough product when they need it. So we have different distribution centers across the US, and we want to make sure we have enough inventory for all the stores to pull out of our distribution centers, so the US population have food when when they need it, pretty much.
So do you have a certain region or state, or do you do the whole United States, or what do you buy for?
Yeah,
Food.
I do the full United States.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're talking about like grocery stores.
Yes, exactly. Grocery stores.
Okay. So basically you need to, be in touch with all of the management numbers, or do you work for databases? Do you work with people? How does that work? Like, show me, because I know nothing about buying. All I do is I go to the store and I assume it's going to be there.
Yeah.
The product that I need. So where do you come into play?
Yeah, well, I was like that too. I never imagined all the different steps and all the different hands that our food travels before we get it at home. But yeah, so we pretty much buy according to like system with a system, right? We have a purchasing system that is tracking weekly sales. Out of those weekly sales, we have weekly forecasts, and we buy taking that into consideration, promotions and any seasonal activity, right? So for this holiday season, we make sure we obviously expect like an increased demand. So I don't do all the analytical part in terms of like plan for like the increases, plan demand, or that. We also have a team that does that, but pretty much I get all that information into a system and I make purchasing decisions taking that into consideration.
If I wanted to think about a can of soup, for example, how many channels does that can of soup go through from the plant to my house that you can think
well
of?
it would depend. It will depend. Each supplier would be different how they do it, right? But normally, well, some suppliers, they do have their own production plant. They will plan production. Some of them, they will have a broker that will help them with the relationship with the distribution company. But yeah, normally it's the supplier, maybe a broker, or maybe not, and then the distribution company, and then the grocery store.
So do you need to know the history of these different foods? Because some may take a shorter amount of time to get to where you need it to go, and some may take a longer route.
Yeah, I don't need to know the history, but we do need to know the lead time, which the lead time reduces into the time that it takes since I order or place a purchasing order till the time we get it at our warehouse. So taking that into consideration, not only the demand, I miss that part. Sorry about that. Not order the demand, not only the promotions and seasonal activity, but the lead time, which is the time that it takes from one point to the other.
So as a buyer buying across the United States, how did you get to where you are now? Did you think that, yes, I'm going to be a buyer for the United States, or did it kind of just work out that way?
Yeah, no, not that it worked out that way, but I mean, I started early in my career. I started as in my career in procurement since I graduated from school. And at the beginning, I was working in the manufacturing industry, which is different from grocery. But once you are a buyer or once you have experience with procurement, it's not that it's easy, but it is easier to know like the common terms around and all that. So when I moved to Denver, I started looking for a job in procurement because that is where my experience, that is the strongest point of my experience. And I bought and I got into the grocery food distribution world. I started buying for the West, just for the West region, and then I started buying national. But because our company just it distributes around the whole country, so most of the buyers we do buy for the whole United States, but we buy different product categories, right? Some people will buy drinks, some other people will buy snacks or like frozen food, chill food. It's just it's different for everyone.
There's a
Yeah.
couple of terms I'm hoping you can explain. One is procurement and one is supply chain. Can you explain what that means to the everyday person?
Yeah, so procurement is related to purchasing, right? The act of buying, like what is containing into purchasing. And then supply chain is used for manufacturing. So manufacturing is different from grocery, just to put it that way. So
Okay.
manufacturing, you are planning to build a computer. So manufacturing, normally they will have engineers involved. They will have engineers who are first designing the product. After the design, they will build the bill of materials, like a computer, what kind of different electronic components they need. So after the bill of materials is determined, they will load all that information into the purchasing system, and they will say, okay, we want to build 10,000 computers by this time. How many A, B, C, D products we need, and they will make that boom that is called bill of materials. They load it into the system, and after that the buyer knows how many pieces or cases or whatever they need to buy to build that big production of 10,000 computers. So grocery is different because we cannot plan that specifically, right? We don't know how much exactly people, how many turkeys they are gonna eat for Thanksgiving, but we have historical data that we'll take into consideration to plan around that. So procurement could be for supply chain, in the supply chain world and in the grocery world, just to put it that way. Supply chain is more about that supply, like making sure the supply chain is going smoothly. And there are different kind of people involved in each different area. I don't know if that answered your question.
So if I understand correctly, for food, it's different because that can just be containing one type of materials, whereas a supply chain, there can be many factors that go into the one product at the end, and all of those different factors need to be taken into consideration for that end product.
Well, and it's just different too, because in supply chain, you know what's your goal. You know, okay, we want to build 10,000 computers, so you plan around that. In grocery, you have to adjust week over week, right? So you sold 10 cases of water last week, but this week you sold 20. Then you have to order double today because you run out of stock, because your demand increased 2 times, and you have no way to know that. In grocery, you don't have a lot of you have a forecast, but it's not a forecast that you know exactly how much product you will need. But then in supply chain or manufacturing, you know exactly how much you will build, unless you get a last minute request to bring more, but you still have a little bit of time to react to it. And it can always be approved or denied. While in food, you cannot say, oh, we're not just gonna give you more water, you know?
Yeah, so you have
I
to
mean,
also take into consideration upcoming sales and discounts that are going to be coming up, and having to tack on onto
yeah,
that.
that and natural disasters too, for example. So yeah, because we never stop eating. So it's like, yeah, you have to take that, or like if there's a hurricane, then you have to plan around that.
Ah,
Or for the pandemic, right? So we had no time to react. So how were the stores? They were empty. So it was a challenge for everyone. So
do you have insight as to what happened with the whole toilet paper thing?
no, I mean, why the demand increase it? No, we don't know. We just we just know that we all ran out of stock.
Wow.
I think
Okay.
it was one of the goods that is not perishable at all, right?
Mm.
It's something that you can store, and it's something that you use on a daily basis. So I think it was just easy for people to storage that, and then it became a trend.
What was some of the hardest things or the challenges as a buyer?
Well, time management would be one, I guess, because you have to, as I was saying, you have many like last minute requests or unexpected things that happen around logistics, increased demand, supplier production delays, an ingredient delay, so things like that. And at the same time, we do have to do our daily activities or daily tasks. So we want to make sure we are responding to those last minute issues while managing our daily agenda. So I guess for that is just try to be as much organized as possible, trying to determine what are the priorities of the day. And if maybe I wanted to spend an hour looking at that certain report, well, I'm just going to spend 15 minutes, but I'm still going to touch it. So that would be one of it. And then just be not take it personal, because we get many requests for so many people where the middleman between the supplier or customer and logistics and all of that. So just try to be as professional as possible, not take it personal, and be solution oriented. It's so easy to get lost into the woods and say, no, well, this is not my fault, this is not my thing or whatever. But just focus on the solution and my controllables, right? What can I control? What can I do? How can I assist? If it's something I cannot control or assist with, well, look someone that can assist me, can help me. Maybe I need another point of view. Maybe I need more information. Maybe I need my boss to look at it. Maybe I need to escalate it. So what can I do? So as I said, it has a certain level of stress, just because sometimes it's pretty sensitive product that we need to make sure that it's on time. Like for the holidays, we know what products, right? Like whipping cream, we want to make sure we have enough butter, things like that. So what can we do to alleviate any issue that we might face that we weren't expecting it, right? What can we do to solve it? How can we focus on the solution?
What would you say are some high points? What do you like about your job?
What I like about it, what I like the problem solving piece of it, even though it is challenging, is like I never get bored. I have I have a lot to do, and sometimes I can get creative, and it's so rewarding when I am able to solve an issue. And so I like that. I like that. It's pretty fast paced, and I think that I like it. I also get to talk to different people, like suppliers and the customer, and so I like that too. I consider myself a people's person, and I think it is nice to be involved in such like it's rewarding to be involved in such like something that makes impact into our world, like, right? So it's not like all the food I am helping to distribute, but I'm a small piece of it. And when I go to the store and I'm like, oh, that's my supplier, I buy that, like I bought that, even though I never see it or anything, but it's kind of rewarding.
Yeah, I mean, you have a indirect hand in somebody's, what's going in their kitchen. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
So to get to where you are now, if I'm a student and I'm looking into marketing or even to get into your line of work, what would be some of the things that I would consider taking as a major, or is there a specific major that a buyer has to have?
There is a like supply chain procurement major as far as I am aware. I know I honestly didn't go to school here in the US, so I am not sure I am the best person to answer that question. But my background is in international business administration, and it is pretty much related to that. I had different classes that are related to it.
So what advice would you give to somebody who wants to be a buyer?
I think first would be maybe to choose what industry they want to focus on. Honestly, buying is so broad that there are different kind of buyers, like clothing buying. I don't know, like grocery buying is what I do. Manufacturing. There is even like people who work like for construction companies. So maybe you want to, because an each area, each different industry is different. So maybe they want to identify what industry they want to focus on. So that would be good. Then just to start looking for something entry level if they are interested in, and not to get discouraged when you first start in this career. I believe at least as far as I can say, is a lot of new terminology and a lot of new information. It really varies on the company. Each company will have different purchasing system. I mean, not to get, I will say, not get discouraged if you don't know certain information. Just ask questions. Ask questions, find a mentor, find someone that is where you want to be, and just ask them, hey, how can I do it? And if that person doesn't want to help you, then knock another door. But something that I will say that it's pretty big is find support, find an organization that can support you. And with this, I want to do my little talk about Prospanica, which is our organization for Hispanic professionals. And I cannot tell you enough how much being involved with Prospanica has helped me through my career, not only to get my current job, but the jobs that I got here in Denver since I moved here. I can say that is due to all the networking relationships that I have made with Prospanica. Not just professional friendships, but like real friendships, like people that have become my friends. And if I am like stuck in something, I can call them like, hey, how did you do to get where you are? Like, what advice can you give me? Or hey, I want to work for this company, do you know someone? So I would say that, like, surround yourself with the people that you want to become, and find a support group. And it doesn't have to be Prospanica. If you're an engineer, there is the National Society of Hispanic Engineers. Maybe you're not Hispanic, then try to find a nonprofit organization that will support your mission, your vision. And that's super important, because as we say in Spanish, la unión hace la fuerza, right? When we are more, we get stronger. Unity makes us stronger. That's what I want to say. So I got all excited with that question.
No, I'm glad that you mentioned that. So Claudia, I want to thank you for your time and helping me take a peek behind the curtain of buying for groceries and how it's done. And just a little taste of it. And if any of you are interested, follow any of the advice that Claudia gives, talk to somebody and start asking more questions. But Claudia, thank you again so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thanks so much for listening. If you have a job you want to learn more about, let me know and I'll create an episode for you. Contact me at hello@workuniversity.org. You can also get new episode announcements when you follow me on Instagram at work.university.